When you think of laptops in the mid to late 90s, you certainly don't think of Rambo. You certainly don't think of a laptop being the size of a VHS cassette either. But today, that's what I have to show you. I actually have double the trouble. These are Toshiba Libretto 70 and 50 CT. Basically, the story behind this is I was at my auction that I frequent, and I just happened to see this sitting in a lot. I picked it up for, I think, $14. There's a Pentium 1 with MMX, and these machines originally came with Windows 95. And this one actually has a broken screen. You can kind of make out the spot there on the left. And, well, I was hooked. I really liked how big this was. And even though it's only a Pentium 1 at a whopping 120 megahertz, there's actually a lot of life left in these, a lot of use. So I went ahead and picked up another one that actually worked correctly, and it is a full laptop. The keyboard's pretty small for my large hands, but it's usable. The mouse is here. You actually use your thumb like this, and the buttons are on the back of the screen. The one with the dot is the left click, the one without is the right click. So that gives you the position, you know, like this. You can I can support the bottom of the computer with the corner of my hand, and it's actually pretty usable. I can also reach the keyboard with one half of my hand, so holding the computer with both hands, I can type with just my thumbs. I actually upgraded this from the factory 1.6 gigabyte hard drive to an 8 gig compact flash solid state storage solution. The 70 CT is a Pentium 1 at 120 megahertz, and in this case it has 32 megs of RAM. There's 16 megs on board, and then there is a 16 meg expansion module, which I was surprised I got because apparently they're pretty rare. Battery hangs out up here in front. Don't know if I could get that out. Slide the battery out. And these batteries are 10.8 volts at 1200 milliamp hours, so definitely not much, but then again, the battery isn't that big either. I'd get approximately 1.5 hours of battery life with the standard hard drive in it. Not sure what I'm going to get now. And this is pretty much it. We have a Type 2 PC card slot on the side. The later model, the 100 CT and 110 CT, had 2 slots, 2 Type 2, 1 Type 3, and supported card bus. This says it's a 32-bit slot, which should be card bus, but it only accepts 16-bit cards. So I'm not sure what's up with that. We have a little reset pinhole here, AC adapter, which is just as large as the computer. And then we have infrared back here, PC card eject, headphones, nothing on this side of the computer, and of course the battery on the front. Underneath, the only door is for this docking station, and that's pretty much it. The system came, or the system's supposed to come with a floppy drive. I did not receive one, so I don't have one at all. And the floppy drive is a PC card that slides into here. It's not a parallel port solution or anything like that. I did get a port replicator with this, which is pretty neat. Gives you parallel, VGA out, and serial. And then because it's on the back, they give you a PC card eject button here, and then this button here is for releasing the docking station. And they put thumb screws on it, so you can actually leave this attached. Helps to open the door. There. Now I can leave this attached, carry it around with me. It acts kind of like a handle, so you don't fumble a blocky rectangular thing. and still gives you access to your infrared and your headphones. And I can still wrap my hand around the entire unit with the port replicator attached. And of course, with the port replicator, you can see it is still not much larger than a standard VHS tape. Okay, so basically what we're going to do is I'm going to go over using the compact flash card as a hard drive in this. We're going to load Windows on it, and then I'm going to show you around Windows and kind of what I had planned for it. And then I will save the best for last. We'll go ahead and disassemble the 50 CT, and I will show you what's inside. Good fun. So instead of wanting a hard drive in my tiny laptop, I wanted to do something different. So I went ahead and purchased one of these. It's an 8 gig compact flash card. You can see up there it's 400X, which is approximately 66 megabytes a second, or Ultra ATA 66. Then I went ahead and bought this. This is a 2.5 inch to compact flash hard drive adapter. And it's just seen in the BIOS as a regular hard drive. The compact flash standard actually has the ATA interface kind of built into it. So as you can see, there's not actually any controller logic. It's pretty much all just directly connected. So what I did is I loaded the Windows 95 installer files onto here, along with drivers and some game programs. So we're going to go ahead and insert this into the system unit and boot it up. So taking our system unit, this is the slot where the hard drive goes in. The hard drive goes in upside down, and you can't really tell in there, but there is one pin that's blanked out for the key, and you have to make sure that that pin is missing on these adapters, and it looks like this one is. Yep, right there. So we're going to go ahead and insert this upside down. Now, being that these aren't exactly the size of the hard drive slot, you'll really want to pay attention to your pin alignment. And sometimes you can, for example, hook up one row of pins, but the other row of pins won't be connected. Actually, that's how that's sitting in there now. It would insert this way, but that is very much so incorrect. Let me see if I can get a better... Yep, you can see the single row of pins that are not plugged into, yet the card is sitting in there, and it actually would plug in. So I'm going to go ahead and adjust that. Okay, our card is fully seated in there. And you probably really won't be able to tell, but I did get all of the pins aligned correctly. So now we take our card, and this will also be upside down. And that's it. Now on this particular model, if you look at the old hard drive, hi Bubba. Actually, that's the other hard drive out of this laptop. I must have put it in the bag already. But the hard drive actually has a tab that mounts here, and I thought about putting the mounting system in, but I decided against it because I can actually just pack a little bit of foam in here, and it'll keep that from moving around. So how do you install Windows or Linux on a machine with no drives, doesn't support booting from compact flash, and doesn't have any USB ports, let alone support booting from them? Well, it usually goes like this. I extract the hard disk out of it, and then I throw it into a system that has drives in it. In this case, we're using an AMS Tech Travel Pro 2500. This is a Pentium 266 with 128 megs of RAM, but most importantly it has the floppy and CD-ROM hanging out on the side. So I took my compact flash card, inserted it in here, popped in my Windows 98 boot disk, booted, F-disked the drive, formatted it, and then I have my Windows 95 CD inside here already. So I created a Windows 95 installer file folder on the main root partition, and then I went ahead and copied those files to it. So now the installer CD is on that compact flash card. And then I put it in the machine to test that it would boot, because sometimes, for example, if this had a Phoenix BIOS and this has an AMI BIOS, hard drives don't switch between the two machines. I know for sure that if I format and partition this compact flash card in my ThinkPad, that the BIOS will not see it, and it says, you know, invalid system disk or disk error. So formatted it, test booted it, and then I threw the card in here and copied the rest of the files. Obviously it didn't need any additional formatting at that point. So now that everything's on the card that I feel I'm going to need initially, and the card is installed and seated fully, I'll go ahead and put this back together. Since the bracket that holds the hard drive in isn't going to work with this particular card, because if you see this, these cards have horizontal mounting holes. Well, I need the vertical ones that are on the side of the drive. And I could make a little L-shaped bracket that holds them, but honestly, it's not necessary. I just cut out a little piece of foam, and I'm going to wedge this foam in the end of here. And there's no electronics on this end of the circuit board, so it's not like I'm going to ESD anything. Obviously, the underside of the keyboard is protected. So now that that's in, grab our door. It goes on like that. Okay, our system unit is back together. So now we'll go ahead and fire it up. And that's it. I just did a format/S to copy the system from the Windows 98 CD. Oops. 95.ins. I always name my folder win.ins, win95, win2k, etc. Setup, space, /is, we'll skip scan disk. There we go. It's not apparent immediately that it's faster or anything like that. I think what I'm going to get out of this more than speed is actually battery life. I saw another YouTube user who modded their Apple PowerBook, actually the same one I have in the first laptop with the CD-ROM video, and he got an additional 2 hours of battery life just in switching to a compact flash card. And when you look at these hard drives, I mean, they draw quite a bit. This one's 5 volts DC at 0.5 amp, and that's actually the same as the other drive. The drive that came out of this was an IBM drive, which was later bought out by Hitachi anyway. I think that's actually right here. Apparently it's not going to come out of the package. Oh well, you believe me, don't you? Okay. Next. Sure. Some people can pick portable here or whatever. I'm just gonna pick custom and install what I want. I seem to remember this. 27397002518530730. Haven't installed this in years, but I'll always remember. I also have the one memorized for Windows 98 and XP. And Windows ME was easy, that was just all zeros. Yes. I don't have a CD-ROM drive or a network adapter. And you won't detect the sound card, but I'll click it anyway. I did notice a speed difference there. That is probably the fastest find new hardware search I've ever seen out of a Windows 95 machine. I heard a click from the speaker. Sounds like it did find the sound. And now we get to pick our options. I think I'm gonna pick all the accessories. Communications, yeah, we'll install that as well. What's in disk tools? Oh, backup's the only thing missing. I don't care about that. We don't need Microsoft Fax. I want all the multimedia stuff though, so we'll install that. And we don't really need Windows messaging. Add file and print sharing for Microsoft Networks. Next. Computer name. How about Porta PC? Toshiba Libretto. It's actually kind of hard to type on this keyboard with big ogre hands. And I don't really care about any of that. I guess I could pick the display. Plug and play. No, I don't want a startup disk. Don't know where you would stick it. And that's it. Now we're going to copy a bunch of files. So I'm going to finish installing Windows, install a few other things, and then I'll be back. Okay, I got out my backpack Bantam, which is a parallel port CD burner. And in this case, I have a PC card that comes with it. So I don't have to bother with the parallel port end of things. So let's go ahead and power this on. Now I guess at this point I could point out what I'm using this computer for. That is mostly old DOS games. I have a bunch of games that don't run on modern Windows 7 machines, etc. But they definitely run good on my old 486. However, I thought it'd be kind of nice to be able to go camping, or if I'm out somewhere, I can take a bunch of old games with me and kind of be nostalgic. I also am going to use this for terminal use. Basically, I have a bunch of microcontroller projects that I use out in the field. For instance, running my vapor carb engine off the computer I'm building. It'd be nice to have something small and portable, not necessarily for programming and development, but for actual interface with the microcontroller project. So I could have my development laptop and then an interface machine. Or if I need to go out in the field and update a ROM, there's no sense in toting a big old computer when I can pretty much fit this in my pocket and it'll do everything I need. So a couple of things that are installed on here. I have a Linksys WPC11 wireless card. I got Mozilla web browser, Winamp, PuTTY for Telnet, etc. And then these are all the games. These are just a few. I have like 100 more that I need to put on here still. And that's pretty much it. I'm still in the process of loading software, so that's about all you're going to see. Let's see how much space I've used so far. I've used a whopping 507 megabytes. All right. And this system's actually really fast. I'll open SimTower. You can take a look. Office. So as you can see, SimTower plays really normally actually. It's quite fast. And I enjoy playing a lot of games on here. I've played the original Grand Theft Auto, SimCity 2000, SimTower. All of them play beautifully on this system. I'm really happy with it. The mouse is kind of weird to get used to at first, and on very mouse-intensive games such as SimCity, it can actually become a little tedious because of the mouse. Kind of sucks that there's no PS2 port on these port replicators. There is an actual docking station that has one, and maybe I'll come across that in time. Maybe I can just get a serial mouse. Take it back to the old school. One thing I wanted to put on this system was Windows 95 Plus, because part of vintage computing isn't just the games, it's what the user experience used to be. And Windows 95 signifies a huge change in Microsoft's product development path. They went away from, the program manager shell that was synonymous with Windows 3.1 and NT 3.5, and moved into the Explorer shell, which is as we know it today with the taskbar, the start button, and the system tray. Alright, I found the setup for Windows 95 Plus. Cool. Like that product key. Man, I don't remember seeing this. Running tasks at night. Well, probably not in this case. That's a cool Windows 95 Plus feature I've never used. One neat thing is the computer I got from the auction came with this universal adapter. It's an iGo adapter that does both automotive and regular AC adaptation. And then on here it has another barrel connector in the middle of the cord where you then run this DC to DC converter where it puts out 5 volts. And it happened to come with the adapter for my backpack CD-ROM. So I can run my backpack and my Toshiba off of one outlet. Well, the backpack CD-ROM seems to be giving me trouble. Having a hard time installing Office. It doesn't seem like it's a media issue. It kind of seems like it's a bus and interrupt issue. So I dug out my brand new, never used IBM external PCMCIA CD-ROM. And we're going to see how well this works. I did feature this in a previous video, but I didn't test it, unfortunately. So this is the first time it's ever been powered on. I got Office in there. And this actually comes with a NiCad battery pack. So I did a quick look through the user manual. And it says that to charge the battery pack, you actually plug it in, make sure the switch on the side is off, and then you push the play-pause button, and the little battery indicator should come up and say that it's charging the batteries. So I'm just copying the driver's floppy diskette to a different way that I'm going to use to get that driver's diskette onto the computer. Okay, now that that's done, these are click discs, holds 40 megabytes. I also have a compact flash to PC card adapter, but for some reason it wasn't recognizing the compact flash cards. So it will recognize these. Much better. Did it catch the eject of that? I didn't hear it beep. Oh, it's frozen. What if I stick this card back in? It unfreezes. Now we eject it properly. Okay, so for the very first time, power on the drive. Next, other locations. I gotta tell it where to get it from. Yes. I guess it's almost better if the CD-ROM works with this laptop, because then I can use this game port and actually plug in a joystick for my games. Although since this requires 10 volts, I can't use this adapter like I could with the backpack CD-ROM. This is smaller than the backpack as well. Here's a videotape to... As you can see, the backpack's actually bigger than a whole libretto. This is really actually closer to the size. More unknown devices. Really? There's a sound card built into this? So I haven't done this enough already. Apparently I have to do it again. There's the joystick port. Restart again? Fine. Now we gotta know. Left out. God, restart again. I've had to reboot 3 times now. Their speakers are hooked up. Well, I got a desktop. Sound doesn't come out there. There's a volume here that I had turned down. Now I'll be damned. Full stereo sound comes out of here. Oh, it gets pretty loud. That's interesting. And of course I can pick the onboard sound if I need to. Guess we'll just leave it as that for now. That's quite interesting. Well, let's see if it freezes when I try and install Office. Yep, it finally works. Poor backpack. Wonder what's wrong with it. There may not be anything wrong with it actually. It's just the way this laptop handles interrupts on parallel ports, because basically the backpack CD card here all this really is a parallel port on a PCMCIA card. I'd noticed previously with the other drive that moving the mouse around got jumpy at times as the CD-Rom was doing its work, and it still kinda does here. Definitely not as bad. I also noticed that there's a speed button here. If I hit this, well, and it may not because it's actually reading right now. Oh well, I'm gonna leave it be. So while waiting for Office to install, I went ahead and hooked up the speaker mounts to check out what these looked like on the side of the computer. And while it does effectively turn this tiny little powerhouse into a ghetto blaster, I'm not sure that portability was what they had in mind, because how would I carry all this shit around? Doesn't seem practical. At least it's loud though. And how do they expect you to be able to use the mouse with these speakers on here? It's obvious IBM wasn't taking design considerations into account from other manufacturers. Awesome. At least if I ever needed to type something, I definitely could. The on-off switch here will also put me back to the speaker inside the computer. Okay, so pretty much all that's left is to tear the old unit apart. So I guess we'll start with the hard drive door is missing. So basically, pop the little latch and then pull straight out. I believe this is a 1 GB hard disk because this is the older 50 CT. Go ahead and pop our battery. And I figure I'll go ahead and start with the screen first. Take a look at what's in there. Take the button off the eraser head mouse. And then we undo these 2 screws. Now to pop this plastic off properly, you actually go inside the display here and lift up. Thumb mouse is right here. Got a tiny little flex cable. Got our sound output speaker here. The inverter board sits on this side. And then I imagine that fluorescent tube's actually right underneath this part of the display. And then our hinges over here. I think this was that exposed screw, or this one here. Yep. But it doesn't look like it's an adjustment for anything, it's just the screw. Go ahead and take the LCD out. Nope, forgot one. And it looks like it depends on that for structure, because this just becomes extremely loose. Go ahead and loosen the inverter board. It's a typical CCFL inverter board. As you can see, we have one output for the backlight. Go ahead and pop this loose. Pop this out. That one doesn't want to cooperate. I have needle nose. Well, apparently not. Sorry. That works. That's our inverter board. And on this side we have a little connector to pop off here. And our display is finally free. Here's the part number. Looks like there's quite a bit of controller hardware already on here. That's quite interesting. That's actually almost it. It's very interesting how this curls around here, this flex cable. It actually curls up in here and then it goes down and through there. And then here's a close-up of the mouse. As you can see, this would just fit on here. And then the buttons are actually right here on the back side of that. And then the LEDs are right here. Speaker plugs in here. That really almost looks like a fuse. It's labeled X1, so not sure what that's about. So now we'll go ahead and take the keyboard off. Normally there's a plastic piece that goes right here. Lifts up. Now you'll notice this is for the memory expansion, which the other computer actually has occupying this. This screw's pretty stripped, so it looks like somebody else has been in here before. Go ahead and unplug the keyboard. Now we're getting down into it. Here's our big flex cable that goes to the little folded hinge. It almost looks like plastic. Not sure how well that would survive a fall. Wow, that hinge is part of that assembly largely. That's pretty cool. Looks like we are pretty much down to just the board. There we go. So as you can see, that's the bottom of the case. This is the PC card slot. And then this side's the hard drive. So this would sit in here like this. Docking connector. That's pretty much it. This side's where all the good stuff happens. Wow. Don't think I really want to upset that thermal pad too much. But there's our infrared receiver and transmitter combo package. This is a chipset and video adapter all in one. And this will do 1024 by 768 at 256 colors, although the LCD panel is only capable of 640 by 480 in full true color depth. There's something interesting going on right here that almost looks good. Yeah, I don't know what's up with that. This is our Intel Pentium 1 processor. The part number is actually hiding underneath that, but I don't think I can get it out without damaging it. Does not appear that it's going to come off easily. What else do we have here? Imagine this right here will be the BIOS, but let's take a look and see what we got under here. Alright, got rid of the sticky. Okay, let's see, we have a Toshiba branded chip right here. We have flash memory here, so this might have something to do with the BIOS. I'll have to check that out. And then over here we have our Yamaha OPL sound chip. It says YMF 711-S. You can look that one up. Up here's our sensor button, basically, for the display. We have our rechargeable real-time clock battery, I believe. Sometimes older laptops have suspend batteries that allow you to swap the main battery, and this will power the memory and it can remain in standby. Looks like we do have a fuse right here for the battery, and we have another CAN one right here, although I'm not sure if that's a fuse or not. Looks like this is actually the fuse, so I'm not really sure what these do. I don't see a part number on it either. Oh. Yeah. I don't know. You got me there. Kind of nice that the DC jack is separate instead of soldered to the board. It plugs in its own little place. Over here's the reset button. We got our headphone out here. And that's pretty much it looks like. Other than the RAM right here, and you'll notice something interesting about this. It's actually a RAM chip above and below, and the RAM chip below is actually soldered onto the motherboard, and then what they do is they stack another one on top of it. I actually used to do this with old 72-pin Sims. This is very interesting. Upon further review, it looks like if I had more of these tiny little circuit boards that the second level is soldered to, I could actually add another row of these on top and get an additional 4 or 8 megabytes of RAM, or however much is sitting there. I can't remember what the 50 CT was. I think it's 16 megabytes on the board. I'm half tempted to unsolder these from here and solder them into the 70 CT. What a hack that would be. That'd be so cool. And I think the actual RAM board sits in this area right here that's generally unpopulated. So that might work out very nice. Well, there's only one way to find out if that's feasible. That is, look at how the RAM is sitting in this one. Takes the number 1 screwdriver. Wow, look at that. Okay, so this screw in the corner here is just for the RAM chip. This is a 16 meg expansion. Go ahead and zoom in on that. So there's a close-up of our 16 meg expansion. And the doubled up chips sit under here, underneath this plastic, so yeah, judging by the thickness and everything else, it does indeed look like we can get away with one more row of chips. Fabulous. Well, I hope you enjoyed the teardown. I will reference a couple links in my article on my website, one of which is hacking PS2 keyboard and mouse onto the keyboard controller, which is this chip right here. In this case, it's a different place on the 100 CT. And they also have an article on how to overclock these up to 200 megahertz, I believe, if you have the 120 megahertz model. So yeah, check out those articles and stay tuned. In the not too distant future, I plan on doing a couple hacks to this and see how those modifications pan out. Looks like we made quite a little bit of a mess here. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or suggestions, hit the comment box or hit my website, www.doogielabs.com. Catch you next time. And it still works.